So the first team that we took to camp ended up undefeated and some of the better ball players that we ever had, including Al Dine, who was famous for just being one of the best football players in the state of New Jersey. He went to the University of Wyoming, played in all-star games and everything else, captain of the team. Bob Bailey went to East Carolina, he was a quarterback. Donnie Barry went to Slippery Rock and played real well there. We just had a lot of good players on that team. And they were good because they wanted to be good. And as a result, it started a chain of reaction that you could see it growing each year. After that 70 team, you talk about Gene Gluck and Ralph DePastel and Mickey Rafferty and people who are really outstanding athletes. And then went on to one of the teams that got passed over. They were 7-2, but we had injuries every game. There was somebody out of the game, including our quarterbacks. We were down to a fourth quarterback who was really a linebacker, and we still ended up 7-2. Jimmy Kioshin was our quarterback. Craig Hazelman was a very good wide receiver, and both of them were hurt most of the season. Craig's son played for Butler recently, and Craig is some kind of special kid in that he still plays a lot of baseball. And I went down to Florida to see him play one time. I was in Florida. I didn't go down. I lived in Florida, and he was playing baseball just like the old days. The 74 team was a very good team. They ended up 8-1, as I remember. We did lose one game. But one of the most historic games in my memory was Dennis Van Orden playing against Pequannock High School and doing everything but blowing up the football before the game. He intercepted passes, he made tackles, he ran for yardage, he threw passes, ran back punts. He did everything imaginable. I had never given a game ball to a player prior to that. And the staff and myself decided this was the time to break the precedent. So we gave the game ball to Denny, and unfortunately Denny passed away also. But to show the type of people that he played with, they've had this Friends of Dennis organization for well over 20 years. And the same guys are running it, the Dave Smiths, the Mark Roaches, the Mike Wagners. I could go on with names of people who felt loyalty to Dennis, and they've kept the program going. After that, then it started, I was lucky enough to have the Mayans, the Lundquists, John Davies on the ensuing teams, and the one that DePaul game that we talked about, they were that team. Most of them were juniors, but the seniors were Richie McCarthy, Tom McGarity, Billy Ginter, who got killed in an unfortunate accident up in Pennsylvania, Zip Mancini. Boy, there were players. Kevin Struble, there were players. And we won that year, and then we went to the next year, and that group had the same attitude as the 70 group. This is our year, we're going to be undefeated. Well, it didn't work out that way. We lost to DePaul. Tom Vigorino ran 90 yards for a touchdown against us. And then we played New Providence, the state final, which was the biggest crowd I think I ever remember in a high school football game. And it was a freezing day. The turf was frozen solid, We played in sneakers, and we played New Providence High School with Ted Blackwell, who was an all-state running back, and we lost 20-17. We were ahead 17-14, and doom struck, and Blackwell ran a punt back for a touchdown, and we ended up losing the game. But it was a fun thing to remember. The next historic game was in Giant Stadium. We were 10-0, and Madison was 10-0, where I had one time coached, and still was friends with a lot of the staff down there. So we played at Giant Stadium, and unfortunately we lost the game. But we did have a running back on that team that was something special too, Craig DePascal. Craig could kick off, he could punt, he could run, he could do everything. And he did everything in his power to help us win that game, but unfortunately we came in second that day. I guess we're getting now to two teams who are 11-0. These two teams had so much ability that it was hard to pick out the better players. Mark Tracy was a linebacker, fullback who never went off the field. Howie Alexander was a running back and defensive back who never went off the field. And then we had the one-way players who were terrific players, Brian Franco, Kevin Duffy, I should mention him. Kevin blocked, I think it was 7 punts that season for touchdowns. He was just a little kid, 125 pounds. I think he's doing something in coaching in Kinlaw now, but I'm not certain. But he was a player. And then when we went undefeated that year and beat Cole in the state finals, people thought, well, they're done now. They can't have it back. Well, along came Mark Lisa as a quarterback, Steve Zagnorski as a running back. One of my favorites, Brian Whoop, who was a running back, 145 pounds, and yet he was as tough as nails. So we ended up winning 11 games that year also.